Do you think this law is a good idea?
Morning. First of all, I think I welcome the decision made by the central government to carry on with this national security legislation, because apparently over the past 23 years, we did not have enacted any national security legislation. Like Article 23, we haven't done it. And apparently there is a loophole in our national security system. And indeed, it's necessary for us to have this national security law. And more obvious, if you look at what happened last year, for all the violence, for all the chaos, things similar to terrorism, people throw petrol bomb or even have explosive weapons to kill people. I think these all things must be cracked down, and we do need a piece of national security law to protect the safety of people. And so I think I do welcome the decision made by the central government, given the situation in Hong Kong with all the chaos and the mayhem happened in the last year. I think it's time for us to have this piece of national security law enacted. And this is to protect the safety of people. And it's just one more thing to add. I cannot name a country that there is no national security law. So apparently, this is the time for the central government to fix this loophole.
Why do you think, though, if indeed it's needed, why do you think it's so unpopular among people?
Well, I don't see it as unpopular. These days I've been on the street and I've been talking to people. We have launched a online and also a signature campaign. We have received it. Just yesterday, we have within one day we have received more than 20,000 signatures. And on the street, when we talk to people, people welcome this national security law because they all believe that
Holden,
last year. Yeah.
Holden.
Sorry.
I mean, there is support. Sorry to interject, but there's also a very big part, and we saw that, in fact, yesterday, that there's a very big part of the population who don't think it's a good idea. How do you explain that?
I think first of all, I also have to denounce the violent protest yesterday. As you would see from the TV, people throw bricks again, attack the police, and also even just an ordinary man, because of different political opinion, he was beaten up by a group of protesters. It's very cruel. Now, I denounce this all very violent behavior, first of all. The second thing is, people, if they oppose to this piece of national security law, one of the reasons, perhaps, they don't understand the nature of this piece of law. Actually, I believe that the vast majority of Hong Kong people do not need to worry or concern, because if you are not sort of committing crimes like terrorism, or if you are not engaged in something like sedition, or engaged in this, or sort of organize this or sedition act, then you need not worry. It's only those who engage in those terrorism or organize these sort of crimes, and those who would be concerned. But I think the vast majority of Hong Kong people, of course, they need not worry. Hi.
But Holden, you've seen politically neutral organisations, business groups, interest groups like the American Chamber of Commerce. You can't say that these are bodies that are engaging in acts of terrorism, as you put it, but these are also organisations that have expressed concern over these potential changes with the security bill. So why are they worried if this isn't something that Hong Kong society, that people shouldn't be concerned about?
Well, if people don't understand the nature of national security I think details remains to be seen. I mean, later on, I'm sure that the central government, when they have all the details, they definitely would explain to the public to address people's concerns. But at the same time, I've talked to many other business representatives these 2 days, and they also believe that this national security law is needed to make sure that we could have a stable environment in Hong Kong. Of course, if you look at what happened over the past year, if all this violence and terrorist act continues to sort of carry on, what sort of city are we going to live? And no business could be done. So this is also effective to make sure that we will have a stable business environment for foreign investments to stay in Hong Kong. I'm sure that national security is a must for everywhere. Yeah. Please.
Holden, I think foreign investors also seem to be concerned that with this new law, it's an erosion of so many aspects of independence, or the semblance of independence, right, including judicial independence. So is that a valid concern? And what do you say about the argument that Beijing is willing to trade Hong Kong's station as an international financial hub as being separate from Beijing in order to consolidate control?
Wow. Well, I disagree with that point of view. First of all, I make that very clear. The enactment of this national security law, the purpose of that is to make sure that we have a safe environment in Hong Kong to protect the national security. And, if the violence or all the mayhem continue to carry on, we will lose the safe environment, and nobody would be willing to invest in Hong Kong in the long run. So if you look at even Macau, they have done their national security legislation, and foreign investment continue to invest there. It's just to make sure that we have a safe environment. Now, if people have concerns about this national security law, I would say now the details of the national security law remains to be seen. But once we have the details, I'm sure that the central government will come out and explain to everyone. But what I should say is, given the chaotic environment in Hong Kong, given all these violent protests and those terrorist acts happening in the past year, I believe that a lot of people are expecting the central government to enact this national security law to crack down those violent behavior. This is to make sure the safety of Hong Kong people.
Right. Okay. Hold on. Put it this way then.
Yeah,
the way
please.
Things are shaping up, and obviously we have to wait and see really how this plays out, is that this will be introduced by decree. In other words, it's being snuck in to the basic law. It's not going to go through the normal legislative process. Now, would you be in favor of something being introduced in a similar way if it wasn't this? Because a lot of people have also expressed their concern that it's being implemented without the consultation of the Hong Kong people as well. And, that's a valid concern to have. What would you say to those people that Beijing is railroading this through?
Oh, well, this law is done straight in accordance with our basic law because it's enshrined in the Article 18 of the basic law that the central government does have the right to incorporate the national law into Annex 3 of the basic law, and by way of promulgation, it would be implemented in Hong Kong. So it's done straight in accordance with the basic law. I don't see anything wrong there. And about consultation or public consultation, I think people could express opinion here in Hong Kong, especially to the representative of the MPC. We have a lot of representatives of the MPC too in Hong Kong. So they could receive opinion from the public. And I'm sure that the central government would be able to get hold of these sort of public opinion. I don't see anything wrong. And then it's just one more thing here. It's just one more thing I have to add. Now, this national security law is done purely for the purpose that, given the chaotic situation in the past year, people could not tolerate this or very chaotic situation. And I'm sure that the safety of people is of prime importance. And there's a loophole, a fact, that over 23 odd years, we failed to legislate for Article 23. So there's a loophole for our national security. And I don't think Hong Kong should be a loophole for the national security for our whole nation.